Hi, I'm Arthur Moats, and I'm here to talk to you about my book, The Moats Theory of Life, and the amazing holiday deal we have going on right now. If you purchase a hardback book, you will receive a paperback copy half off as part of our holiday bundle. This book makes for a great gift for yourself or others and will leave you feeling inspired and impactful. So go to moatstheory.com right now and get your copy so you can start living a more fulfilled life. What's up? It's the Arthur Moats Experience with Deke. I'm Arthur Moats, and that's my main man, Deke.
What's up, man?
We're going to get to you in a second. But first off, we got to talk about DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbooking app. Not only is it safe, but it's secure, and the most important part is the reliability. And for all the first-time users out there, if you use the promo code MOATS, you will receive up to $1,000 in deposit bonus money. So with that being said, what exactly are you waiting on? Download the app, use the promo code, and let's get an opportunity to make a little money. Now that I'm through that part, because Lord, man, I can't take you serious right now, ladies and gentlemen. So the YouTube crowd, y'all can see what's going on here. Y'all notice something different about Deke's appearance from the neck up. But for the audio listeners, the podcast only listeners, I got to paint a picture for you. So 3 weeks ago, we remember Deke had the big burly beard, right? Looked like Santa Claus / Big Ben / homeless guy, right? He had that combo going. Mm-hmm. Then we saw the Steelers suffer their first defeat, right? And from there, we went mustache only Deke, okay? So Then he kind of looked like a computer hacker, a guy that if he's standing at the park by himself, you're going to tell the children to avoid that guy. You might anonymous tip. Okay, cool. That was one look, right? Sophisticated creep. I'm with it. All right, cool. We're not tripping on it, right? But now it's evolved. Okay? So we have a new look today, okay? And this new look, and I'm going to let you explain why the new look happened. But in this new look, imagine, let's see how to put this. Imagine an egg, right? An egg, super smooth, no hair on anything, right? No hair on the front part of the egg, no hair on the top part of the egg, right? So half of his face is egg, meaning no eyebrows and literally no mustache. But then you have the other side where you still have a remaining solo eyebrow, but still no mustache. So now, like I said, it kind of gives me egg as if this is as if it's like IG and it's the new user getting a little egg. It kind of looks like the egg / Two-Face because half of his face has hair, the other half is barren. But then you also look young because you don't have the mustache anymore.
Yeah.
So you look like this is kind of crazy. All right.
I want to hear it.
I'm trying to do this in the most politically correct way, though. That's the problem.
Okay.
Because, like I said, part of you look like you're recovering from, some type of treatment. Okay. You have no facial hair, no eyebrow. That's the real thing, okay?
Right.
So I do got a little shazier going on, a little alopecia on the right side. You know what I mean? With all respect. But then the other side, like I said, just the top eye part, you look normal. I love it, though. I love it.
You love it?
I love it. And here's why. This is why I love it. Number one, because you're a man of your word. I know the backstory. I'm gonna let you share the backstory in a second.
Yeah.
But number one, I love the backstory behind it. You're a man of your word, okay? That's the first part. Number two, it's controlled chaos. It's clean. Like think about it. It's not like, oh, you got this like scraggly facial hair and eyebrow. Like you're well put together with the no mustache. Like you look like it's your first day of boot camp. You know what I mean? Like shave the mustache, shave the facial hair off. Like you got that look going. But then at the same time, it's like, dang, maybe he got pranked. Like maybe it's a rookie initiation because there's one eyebrow missing.
Right.
But at the same time, like I said, it kind of looks good. Like it depends on what side I'm looking at you from. If I'm looking at you on the one eyebrow side, I'm like,
yeah, you got me from my normal side right
It's
now.
like he looks smooth, just looks younger. I see you from the other side. I'm like, all right, maybe he's, maybe he has a condition or something, or he lost a bet. But either way, I like it. So if you want to, you can share like what exactly happened in this scenario because you kind of jacked up looking a little bit. Just a little bit.
Life advice. If there's a guy on TikTok named Coochie Man, don't make a bet with that person.
Shout out to Coochie Man.
So, I post to TikTok somewhat frequently. I don't do the dances or anything. It's just like clips of us talking, doing the podcast.
Oh, do you do these dances before the show?
No, I don't do dances.
Okay, or do you do these videos before the show? That's the real question. I need to know.
No dancing. Just none.
No dancing, no videos before the show. You could do it on your own time, just not before the show, right? Because it's something about when you about to show and perform. Like we ain't got time for you to be doing all that. I just need you to be a little more focused. But we good.
Exactly. You got to celebrate or do the dance after you win the show.
Right? Yes.
After you perform on the show.
Absolutely. You perform at a high level, then you express yourself.
You have a good moment on the show, then you can dance a little bit. But I don't dance in general. That's just not my style.
Yeah, because you're chilling.
Yeah. So one of my videos that I posted in the recent week, someone commented like, hey, if the Bengals win, Deke, you have to shave your mustache and an eyebrow.
A eyebrow, too. Not eyebrows. Just
a eyebrow. I'm like, you know what? This is, whatever, man. We're going to win this game. This will be funny. I'll make a little video about it and express how the Steelers are about to gain momentum here. They're about to hit their stride. Everyone's about to go off. I even predicted we were going to shut them out this game. So I was feeling confident. I really was.
I was with you. You heard me in the comment. I said, I agree.
So there was a 0% shot the Steelers were losing this game. What were the odds on the money line? Just the Steelers winning outright? Wasn't it ridiculous?
Oh my! Like for money line, still was like minus 700 or something crazy. And then even the spread was at 14.5 when it was time for kickoff, which is massive for the NFL. Like you don't get double digit spreads in the NFL.
Yeah, it was absurd. So Steelers were winning. It was a guaranteed win, in my opinion. Let's make the funny video of like, hey, Coochie, man, you know what? I'm going to take you up on the bet. And it wasn't even like a real bet, I guess, because I told him, I said, this is so guaranteed. This is so much of a lock. Don't even put up any stakes on your
Big
side.
Talk. I like when you talk greasy, too. You know I like when you talk greasy. Like, that gets me going.
I know. I was hyped, man.
And I saw it. I saw the little comment. Because he commented on mine too. You know, I'm definitely not. You're way more on TikTok than me. Like, I'm hardly ever up there. But even I saw the comment. I'm like, shoot, I know Deke money right here. We ain't even tripping. And I mean, not only did you feel that way, I told you I felt that way. I even, doubled down on my compensation bets with DraftKings. Like, I was like, yo, we in here.
That was the first thing you mentioned when I got here.
As soon I was like, yo, we good. It's money in the bank.
No, I mean, when I got here today, that was the first thing you brought up. You're like, damn, they messed up my money here.
Yeah, bro. They crushed my pockets this weekend. I was not a fan of that situation. Not at all, man. But I will say this, man. As bad as it felt as I was watching my money go down the drain when, number one, they did not stay under 40 points. And number two, we lost straight up. Not even a spread, just straight up money line loss. As much as that hurt, opening that door, seeing your face.
You were down, man. You were hurting.
Seeing that look as soon as I opened the door of your face, seeing how my wife reacted to your face, seeing how Gray come over, they give you a high five.
He didn't even recognize me.
He's like, I don't know this dude right here. Like, what's going on? No mustache, half eyebrow. Like, I don't know this guy. That really brought just pure joy and happiness to my heart. So I appreciate you lifting my spirits today. Because golly, like seriously, for all just the audio people only. Because the YouTube people gonna see this. The audio people only. Please take time out your schedule today to go on YouTube.
Might as well subscribe while you're at it.
And definitely subscribe while you're at it. Subscribe to the channel. Just ArthurMost55. You go up there, you'll see all these videos. Just go look at it. Just go look at it. And then you'll see exactly what we're talking about right now. Because I'm having a hard. Every time you turn your head towards me, I feel like I'm looking at half Chucky when when Chucky like starts to get jacked up, like he loses the eyebrow, then he loses like half of your face looks one way, the other half looks the other way. I feel like I'm talking to child's play right now, man. It's throwing me off, man. All right, it's throwing me off. Hell, give me the power. Give me the power, I beg of you. Like, but are you ready? Are you ready to get into this game, man?
I think so. I don't think I have anything to talk about.
God, dog.
Because you know what? I had a moment. I had like an hour moment of where I just shaved the mustache. I went out. I got some money out of the bank because I wanted to go pay some parking tickets. So there was like an hour.
Very responsible by you.
Yeah,
God,
not really, because they're late. They're a couple days late.
I'm gonna go pay these parking tickets, man. Let's get after it.
So yeah, there was like an hour of me just walking around kind of normal, 2 eyebrows, just fully shaven face. And then it was, the moments leading up to me getting ready to come here where it's like, all right, it's time. It's just time. I gotta shave this. Like you said, you gotta be a man of the word. And unfortunately, we lost, man. I was not, and we talked about this a little off the mic. Like, dude, I didn't even think of it during the game, the start of the game, anything. Even we're down 10-0, whatever it is.
It didn't hit me till fourth quarter. About about 5 minutes left on the clock.
It was almost halftime for me. I'm like, wait, shit. My eyebrow and my mustache is at stake here.
I just kept being in denial, especially in the second half. I was like, oh, all right, we scored. When we cut it to, I think it was the one score game we cut it to. I remember looking over to wifey. I was like, hey, babe, I've seen this before. It's over.
Oh, we were going to win. That's what I was thinking, too.
I said it's
Stop
over.
On defense, another touchdown.
And that's because I was like, that's what happened. I was like, man, they're railing right now, and we're getting hot right now. Offense put together a nice drive. Benny Snell's, breaking off some nice runs. Like, it's about to happen. We noticed. They're looking around. They talk about 10 wins in a row against this team. This is how those type of things happen. But then it didn't. And I just kept waiting like, all right, it's going to happen now. Even when it was like 15 seconds of the kicking the field goal, I'm like, what's going to happen? We're going to block this field goal and run it back. That's what's about to happen. And then once they scored, I'm like, all right, it's 7 seconds. We're going to run this back and score and then get the onside kick and find another way to score like a second left on the clock. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe it. I was just dumbfounded. Wife was looking at me like, babe, this game is done. It's over. And I'm just like, no, it can't be. It can't be. Like, we got too much at stake here. This can't be happening.
That's what I was thinking too.
And
the field goal attempt, though, I didn't know if they were going to do it or not.
So I was 50-50. I said you could go the route of...
We did it in the past.
Yeah, I was like, you could essentially just try to run the clock out. You could try to just go for it. It was 4th and 1. If you get the conversion, the game is effectively over. I said, or you can kick the field goal, which should effectively end it, but you open yourself up to a little bit more adversity if the kick gets blocked or whatever, right? But then I also like the hard count. Go out there hard counter because it's kind of like the 50-50. I don't really want to go for it, but maybe I can get you to jump off sides. All right, you didn't jump. All right, I guess I got to kick the field goal here. But, I mean, they executed, man. It was good on their part. And shout out to them, too. They made the move the day of the game, switching the kickers as well.
I didn't know about this
so it was supposed to be Randy Bullock. Randy Bullock has been their kicker, former Pittsburgh Steeler, the guy that we broke down in terms of like the keys, him versus Boz and stuff like that. But they ended up sitting him down for the game. They announced it Monday prior to kickoff. I don't know exactly when during that time frame, but they announced that he was going to be inactive. And they had Austin Seibert, who, I mean, a guy I hadn't even heard of at the moment, man. But he came in, hit 2 of 3 field goals. Obviously was 3 of 3 on his extra points, which were huge in that game, man. So... like I said, it was just crazy. I don't think we could have predicted any of this, man.
Nah.
Any of this. Between, like you said, Ryan Finley, what he was able to do. I mean, just effective running, effective passing. That was the crazy part.
Yeah, the options. I was like, when the hell did Bengals get Lamar Jackson here? I'm like,
seriously, bro.
What is going on?
I was trying to figure out when they made that adjustment and how long was it going to take for us to adjust to it. And honestly, it took us till... that 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, where they basically told Minka play one-on-one with the quarterback. And I'm looking at wifey. I'm like, as great of a call as that was by Coach T, because that's a Coach T decision right there, right? As great as a call, I said, man, that takes some big time cojones, man. Like you essentially take the safety, your middle field player, because they were playing man. You take the middle field safety out and say, basically, we're going to run cover 0. You got this quarterback one-on-one. Why is that dangerous? Number one, if the quarterback decides to fake the run and pop up and throw it like we've seen guys do before, yeah, you have nobody in the middle of the field to help you. No help. If somebody gets beat, which happens all the time on man-to-man, like that's a big chunk play. I said, that's the first thing. The second thing is, if Minka misses that tackle, you're still stuck because everybody's in man-to-man coverage. And we saw it wasn't an easy tackle. I mean, it was a great play by Minka to make that play. Yeah. But man, I'm sitting here like, dude, that is crazy. That's one of those... It reminded me of last year when we win the coin toss overtime versus the Ravens, and we're like, oh yeah, we're gonna kick the ball. And you're like, no, what are you doing? Oh, it worked out. All right, cool, it worked. All right, cool. We'll roll with it. Like that's what I kept looking when I saw it. I'm like, I like the adjustment because it worked, but I hate the adjustment because I'm like, bro, that is dangerous, big time dangerous.
Understood.
But man, unreal.
What do we just gonna hop into the question?
I feel like we got to, right?
That's probably the way to go.
Because it hurts. And that's the thing, man. When you got these type of performances, you're kind of asking yourself, like, where do you start? I mean, 27-17 Bengals, like, how do we start this, man?
Yeah, because if we're just going to do our recaps, we sucked. I mean, what else do you want to say? Like, I want to do the Colts preview, be honest with you. I'm ready just to do that right now.
But like we've talked about in the past, even when we won, we said you got to be critical. We got to find ways to evaluate it and improve it. And as crazy as it sounds, still same issues going on. Here we go in week 15 that we were dealing with in week 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Difference now is we can't rely on where we're undefeated. We're the number 1 team. So with that being said, I guess we have to dive into this thing now.
Those were better times, as you could see with my face.
God, dog. All right, so this first question, man, we got from Bham80. When do you think Randy Fichtner either gets with the program or gets fired? Do you even think he's on the chopping block? Randy Fichtner is the offensive coordinator for those that are unaware. Honestly, this might go against popular belief. I don't think he was a problem last night. I thought the O-line protecting Ben, especially on the passes that were going to be longer than just the quick 1 or 2 seconds. I thought the O-line struggled big time, especially on the edge with the tackles. We saw that. It was highlighted multiple times. I thought that was the issue. I thought Ben struggled with his accuracy a lot and his decision-making. Mm-hmm. We talked about the Ebron play where Ebron gets hurt. You see Claypool would have been wide open for a touchdown. It was a couple other situations. I think even on the Juju pass where Juju gets killed, it was another guy open as well. It was a couple instances like that where it was just poor decision-making. Either was a late throw or underthrown ball as well. But I thought the designs of the plays, guys were open. And when you talk about the coordinator, let's remember what the coordinator's job is. The coordinator's job is just to scheme up plays, to call plays situationally, to get you in the best call. But the quarterback and the people on the field have to execute that. So when you have multiple guys running open, that's not on the coordinator. We saw the running game come to life. Benny Snell looked great last night.
Yep.
I mean, to the point where people are questioning, man, should he be the guy going forward?
Definitely.
That wasn't an issue with Randy Fichtner. Randy Fichtner did a great job in terms of, I loved his off-tempo runs. This is something that we've talked about a little bit in terms of your counters, your draws, right? Because we know with the way people have attacked us in the running game have been counters, draws, pulling plays, right? Stuff that is going to take your aggressiveness and use it against you. We saw that happen. I mean, now for 3 weeks in a row, we've been struggling with it. But we finally on the other end started to use some of that. And we saw how Benny Snell was able to take full advantage of those holes. Even in the thing that I like about the off-tempo runs and using aggression against you, a lot of those runs, if you really break down the tape, we weren't winning the line of scrimmage. It wasn't as if we were getting movement. We were stalemating. But when you stalemate, we said this, right? We said at least stalemate, that will at least keep it 50-50. And then from there, make a play. Benny Snell was making those plays off of the 50-50 stalemates. But the 50-50, we weren't even getting that prior to that, right? Typically, we were losing the line of scrimmage. And it was guys having to be dodged in the backfield. But all of those things worked out well. The coordinator, I thought, did a good job yesterday. Now, granted, if we're critiquing him over his full, season body of work, that's a different conversation. But as it pertained to last night, I thought he called a really good game. It's just the execution wasn't there, and it was across the board. Like I said, quarterback, offensive line, receivers. I mean, it was just across the board, man. So to me, I think that's more of the issue right now. I mean, we could talk about making moves to coordinators in the offseason, and that conversation will be had. But at this point in the season, you're not going to switch your coordinator out 2 games before the playoffs. That's just not happening. But then secondly, like I said, last night's performance was not indicative of Randy Fichtner in a negative way. Randy called actually a good game. Guys were open. I mean, the situations were there. We just didn't connect on them.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I thought Ben had a bad game, and then on the other hand of it too, I mean, you mentioned it. It was Ben had a bad game, offensive lineman, and I kind of mentioned this earlier, like we're doing these short passes. I had an inkling like part of this is out of need potentially. Yeah. Because whenever we started to try to do some of these deep passes, dude, he had no time. And there were times where there were guys open downfield and stuff, and that's why I said I don't think Ben played that good. But I'm chalking it more up to, and not like this is a good thing or bad thing, whatever it is, but like I just think bad game versus shitty team. Like one of those, like Ben in the past, whenever we lost to the Ravens with Mallet, we lost to the Jets on the road. Like that's what I'm thinking. In terms of our prospects going forward, I still have confidence in Ben. I still have hope in Ben. That's my thing.
Well, so I wouldn't expect you to have anything.
No, yeah, 100%. But like you combine that with the O-line, and weirdly enough, the receivers were getting up. There was times though, I'm like, do we have the separation we need on some of these? But at the end of the day, I thought Ben played. He had a bad game. Line wasn't up to par. Receiver, actually, you know what? I want to give a shout out to Deontay, man.
Yeah, he bounced back in a big way, man.
Some of those catches were tough catches, like a slant across the middle, a lot of combat catches. Like he played really good, and Benny Snell played good. Yeah. So in terms of offensive coordinator, you saw the replays. There were guys open, and that was something I was watching. I'm like, bro, he's just making bad reads and shit here, and some of the throws were bad. So. But
that's the thing, and I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people, they just view if it's a good play or bad play. If it's good play, they say it's because of Ben. If it's a bad play, they put it on the coordinator. And it's like, that the bad plays that happened weren't because of the design of the plays or even the timing in which they called them. It was just the execution wasn't there for a variety of reasons. Like you said, we're not going to sit here and just say it was just this player or just that player. I mean, we could go with the popcorn theory essentially where, okay, first is these guys over here, they're messing up. Now these guys mess up. Okay, they get their thing together, but now this group over here is having some issues. That to me has been the case though the past couple of weeks. And I think that's why this time it's a little bit different in terms of why people are a little bit harder on Ben now compared to the years past. Years past is typically just the one game like that. Right now, people are saying these past 3 games, they haven't been his best, you know, in terms of this season's body of work. This has probably been his worst stretch this year. So I think that's another reason why people are talking about it a lot more. But yeah, I mean, just like in anything in life, right? It's never as bad as we think it is, never as good as we think it is. So even though initially gut wrench, you're like, man, Ben played bad. We're going to go back and watch it again. And it's going to be like, bro, it wasn't as bad as it could have been. We're going to look at the receivers. Man, it wasn't as good as it could have been. We're going to look at Benny Snell and have the same type of thought process. That's just how it goes when you're talking about these games, man. I mean, it's unfortunate that they're happening right now in succession in terms of 3 of these performances in a row. Typically over a 16 game season though, man, it's like, oh, you might have this in the first 4 games. Then you have
happened in the past.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. It's just the because it's the timing of it, it's going to be heightened and sensationalized a lot more. But
yeah, definitely going undefeated.
Yeah.
To start the season off too.
Mm-hmm. It was a lot of hype.
There's been a lot of hype. Yeah.
So yeah, but I like that question. B-Ham 80. That was pretty good, man. But yeah, I don't think Randy Fick, if we're talking off season, that's a different conversation in terms of him being on the chopping block potentially. But I do think that he is going to be connected and directly linked to Ben Roethlisberger. And we know that Ben did say before the game that he does intend to come back next year as well. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that whole situation plays out. But the Steelers typically don't fire their coaches. Now they do they just won't re-sign a guy. And I'm not sure if Randy, does he have a year left? Typically those guys are either on year to year or every 2-year contract. So that could be a situation where you might see him not re-signed. But in terms of them making a move during this season, I don't see it happening at all. All right. This next one we have is from Jay. Shout out to Jay. Question. Do you feel the national media is just burying us without really looking at all of our key injuries and schedule injustices? You want good?
Sure. I mean, the injuries definitely, I think, are a factor on defense. I do think the defense played pretty well, though, yesterday, considering the circumstances and what we put them through in the first half. I mean, it wasn't flawless, but I think you could see in certain instances, like the injuries are playing a factor. Not having Vince Williams out there explained, they were able to do stuff on the ground. We talked about Finley.
There was times where Marcus Allen got hurt for a little while. He was banged up. I think Avery went out for like a play or two. I think Ulysses Gilbert has some situations going on. So even they were banged up in an already banged up position group. So yeah,
our pass coverage was solid, but that our strength throughout this whole season has been the run defense. And you could just see, I think these injuries are just adding up a little bit here and there. Like right now, based off yesterday's defense, we're probably still top 10, top 12 or something like that. But like if we get Spillane back, we get Williams back, it's a different story. Correct. I think we get back into that top 5 range. So he's talking about the media and bashing us about that type of stuff. It is what it. I mean, you can only go off what's being put out there in terms of the game. Like we talk about like next man up and everything. I don't think it's anything to like feel sorry about. It just is what it is. Once we get those guys back, it could be a different story. But it's the media bashing. Maybe they're being too hard about that stuff. But I don't know. It's not something I try to pay attention to if they're talking about injuries and everything. We're just losing. It just sucks. Yeah, for me, I agree with you. I'm never gonna look at the injury excuse as a justification solely based on my personal experiences, man. Me get my opportunity because of somebody getting injured. If that person gets injured and all of a sudden we're just like, oh yeah, man, throw the season, he's got to come in, it's over. I mean, dang, that, you know what I mean? This doesn't even happen. We don't grow where we are. I don't make it where I make it as a player. So to me, I never look at the injuries as an excuse. Is it an obstacle? Without a doubt. Is it something that you acknowledge? Sure. But it isn't a justification as to the bad performances. The bad performances are related to the execution, the techniques. Even with the personnel stuff, with some of these injuries, even when you're watching it on tape, you're still seeing, it's not as if they don't know what to do. Because I thought, okay, let me just make sure with Marcus Allen and Avery Williamson, like, is it stuff that they're just blowing coverages? Excuse me, that's not the case.
some of the stuff, like with Marcus Allen, for example, with some of the runs, he's a little inside linebacker right now. It's no different earlier on with Shazier when Shazier was a little inside linebacker. The way you attack those guys is to run directly at them and make them have to play a more physical style of play. It took Shazier, 2 years to really understand that and get comfortable with that. So, and you think Shazier was a guy who played linebacker in college. Marcus Allen's a little bit different. So to me, I didn't view that as a negative for him. It just looks like something that's going to take time. No different than Alex Highsmith. Some people have been critical of him. Man, he doesn't have it. Dude, as a rookie, it is extremely tough to come in and play the starting role. It's a reason why rookies don't just traditionally come in the NFL on offense and defense and just start
you talk about
and have a ton of success.
Bud Dupree's first 2 or 3 years. I mean,
like people wanted to fire Bud. The people wanted him cut. They were calling him a bust his first 2-3 years in the NFL. So to me, Alex Highsmith as a 3rd round pick, not even a 1st round pick, a 3rd round pick. That's why we talked about, man, just understanding the expectations for him, man, and tapering him a little bit, because what you might have saw with Robert Spillane, and remember, Spillane isn't a rookie. Spillane, this is his first time playing like expanded role, but he had been in the league before. He was on an NFL roster before. So he still had a familiarity with what it takes to be successful at this level. Whereas with Highsmith, man, 6 months ago was in college. Like, that's what people have to realize too, man, in terms of some of those things. So I think that has played a role. But in terms of the national media and them being harder on us, you have to realize this, man. We were the main people over here pumping our chests. Remember when they kept saying we were overrated, when they kept talking about
I was calling people out.
They said we haven't played anybody. Remember that conversation, the first 6-7 games? They said we haven't played anyone. And we were constantly beating our chest. No, we got this. We constantly were talking about Ben. Ben's the MVP. Ben's the MVP. When you put out that type of energy, and we were the ones constantly attacking national people as well, well, now when it starts to go in their favor, don't expect them to be soft about it. They're going to come right back and match your energy. And that's what we're seeing right now. So I think it's a mix of all of that. I don't think it's just the media being so hard on us. I think we played into that on the front end, and now it's their turn on the back end. Hopefully we'll get the last laugh come playoff time. But yeah, I don't think that they've done anything, too far in terms of what they've been saying about us. I think it's been warranted based on what we've seen on tape.
I haven't touched sports since that game, dude. Went home, read some books, just reflected on life, man.
You're a smart man.
Didn't turn on any TV for sports stuff. So if that's what's going on, then I don't know what to say.
You are a smart man. That's all I'm gonna say. You're a smart man. All right. Oh, this is an interesting one. This is from Steelers fan 1168. There's a lot of ones. Okay. Should Juju stop dancing on opposing teams' logos because it sounds like it's getting them going? It sounds like it gets them going.
It's not even a question at this point. It needs to stop. It's
okay.
It needed to stop before he even said, "Hey, I'm gonna keep doing it. I'm gonna be me," or anything. The instance, there was a fork in the road here.
Yes,
in my opinion, there was. So, like, up until the Bills game, him doing it with the Bills game, like, no one knew about it. And let's be real, we were winning and everything,
Right.
but TikTok's a new platform. He's doing like these 10, 15 seconds video. It's like, all right, what's he doing? It's kind of funny, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Happens for the Bills game, we lose, and then it becomes like a national media story. Tomlin has to answer questions about
Josh Allen, they have a clip of Josh Allen before the game where he says, man, they want to do all the dancing, let them do all the dancing, we'll do all the working. And then obviously they go out and win. But that was the clip, the sound bite that they literally have of him 20 seconds before he goes on the field. So from there, that has been another reason why it was talked about more so with Coach Tomlin.
Yeah, 100%. So it's brought to our attention now. Now you have a decision, and everyone's asking, are you going to keep doing it? Blah, blah, blah. We lost the game, and this is kind of the backlash that happened from it. And he said, no, I'm going to be myself. I'm going to keep doing me. I'm going to dance. Now, all of a sudden, you're just caring about your social media brand more than the football team. Now, if you want to do that, that's fine, but we're up here talking about the Steelers winning games. The Steelers are out there trying to win games as a team. All your stuff in the past, we talked about this even last year with the Jets game after he dropped the pass. Like, all the questions were like, is Juju too much on social media? Is he building his YouTube brand too much? And we're like the biggest proponents of him doing that. Like, you should.
Absolutely. Take advantage of it, man.
You're an NFL player. Your market's as hot as it's ever going to be. Like, bro, build your own brand. So whenever you're done with football, you can, have
the transition,
have whatever
right?
opportunities you want. But now it's leaking into football because there was never any correlation at that point.
Yeah.
Like, his brand was his brand, video games, whatever it was was
Like
that separately.
there was never any merging of the two. It was very clear. Juju as a social media personality versus Juju, the professional athlete. Correct.
Now all of a sudden you're doing it before games on the other team's logo. Like, you know what that is, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's like disrespectful. And dude, I'm just not a fan of it at all. I mean, we could keep talking about this going back and forth, but like, yeah, it needs to stop.
Well, that was the thing that I was a little bit surprised with, and I'm lying to myself. I said I was surprised. I wasn't surprised. I was trying to say I was surprised with fans acting as if they didn't know the disrespect behind dancing on the logo. But I said, man, when you're trying to justify for a person that's on your team or somebody that you root for, you'll play dumb. We've seen that where you're like, oh, dancing on the logo is bad. No. Oh, but if you step on a terrible towel, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Oh, exactly.
Like come on, man, don't play dumb.
If someone did that if another player did that at Heinz Field, we'd be furious.
Right, but people wanted to all of a sudden play dumb when we talked about, or not even us, because we were late to the party in terms of bringing it up because both of us agree, like we didn't think him dancing in the social media is a big deal, but the time and place for it, and once the conversation has been had about it being an issue, once you continue it, now we have to talk about it.
And we thought he was posting that stuff after the game.
I
know you could kind of tell he was dancing before, but I thought he posted it after the win.
After a win,
he was posting that shit before the game.
Right. Yeah, so that is when you start to realize, and for the people, like I said, that want to act as if they didn't know it was negative, like you said, man, if somebody danced on the Steelers logo at Heinz Field, the fans would lose their mind. Like, let's be real, the fans would lose their mind. You already know, Marquise Pouncey, we seen this man fight a whole dude for Mason Rudolph. You know what I mean? Not even for Mason. You don't think that this man would lose his mind if you dancing on the logo at Heinz Field? I mean, like I said, people still bring up Hushman Zada wiping his cleats on a terrible towel. They still bring up Lindell White wiping his, you know what I'm saying, with the terrible towel. What are we talking about here? And now we're gonna act as if dancing on the logo
that was after they won the game. We ended up getting the last laugh on those type of things. And that's the other thing too. Like celebrations, we love celebrations. Yes. Let's be real. It happens after touchdowns, after you do something in the game, after you win. Dude, they were doing those TikTok videos like after games on our undefeated run.
Yeah.
We were winning games. Dude, you're doing this before the game. You haven't even done anything. Like that's the frustrating part too.
And the other issue is this. So not only, are you doing it before the games, but
there's only negatives.
Well, and I was gonna say, so even if, you want to go about it and say, I'm going to take this approach, right? And people have said, well, that's the AB approach. That's the TO approach, right? Which is fine either way, right? Because those guys off the field are different than on the field. But the difference was on the field, you knew, dancing or not, they were going to produce.
And they were doing it after they produced.
But this is the thing. It's like T.O.
Even if you did it before, who cares?
Think about T.O. multiple times doing the celebration on the star. We remember Juju tried to do the celebration on the star. It's like, bro, think about what those guys' numbers were during those games, during those seasons. I said, Juju, man, you danced on the logo. You went out here, had 3 catches, 15 yards, and you had a fumble that was lost that ended up getting us a touchdown. Like, just understand if you're going to do that type of stuff. And I don't have an issue. Like, this is my thing. I have an issue, number one, if you're celebrating, but you only do it when you win. Right, because then I say, man, that's more of a front run. I don't like people.
You get that night. You get that night to celebrate, whatever it is.
Yeah, right, but I'm not a big fan of front runs. I'm like, yo, if you're gonna talk smack all the time. Don't just only when it's going good we're gonna talk and act like we're big and bad. That's my first thing. But then my second thing is if you are gonna be that guy that talks, that does the videos. I mean, and let's be real. And it's not just that Juju. It's not just Juju. It's all the receivers, because I could point to multiple instances where Juju runs a guy over, Claypool comes on the sideline, he points at the guy on the ground. All right, we've seen it where Juju scored a touchdown, they spike the ball, dance over the DB. Like we've seen these instances, right? And it's like, oh, man, as long as you win, it's fine. But then last night, they start having a little adversity, and you start seeing guys getting up. They want to be extra pushed. They're a little in their feelings now. Like, I don't like that. I'm like, don't dish it out. But then when it's time to receive it, now all of a sudden you're sensitive about it. And like I said, that's for multiple receivers. And you watch the game, you'll know exactly who we're talking about with some of these guys. Those, to me, are other issues that are stemming from this as well, man. If you're going to do this, this is all that comes with it. So if you're not going to produce at a high level, now we start having that conversation of, is the headache worth more than the productivity? And remember, that was the AB conversation. AB's going to show up late. AB's going to temper tantrum. AB's going to do this and this and this. But all of those things weren't even close to the productivity that he was giving you. As long as the productivity outweighs the distraction, you roll with it. Right now, we're seeing more distraction than productivity from Juju. And I think that's why these conversations are being had, not only here, but nationally as well, man.
100%. Like, dude, we're talking about this. We shouldn't even be talking about this at all.
We should be talking about your performance, but you didn't even perform at a high enough level to outweigh what was talked about. Right now, everybody's talking about you dancing on the logo and Von Bell smashing you and talk about, I seen 19. Like, you see him in the video, he's trying not to laugh because he already knows what he's thinking when he saw it, man. Like, it's very frustrating.
And that's what I'm talking about with the fork in the road. Like, you had the decision of like, okay, if I say I'm going to keep dancing, I'm going to do me. Every game here on out, like, this is going to be a conversation. Yeah. This is going to be brought to people's attention.
They had the Monday Night Crew solely sitting there zooming in on the logo, and they're like, we haven't seen anything from Juju just yet. Is he coming? We're gonna keep watching. It's
ridiculous,
like,
dude.
It's nuts.
Yeah, and I can't. Correct me if I'm wrong here. They said they had like a security team out there over the logo. Mm-hmm. Like, bro, if you're putting that much attention to make sure that you go out there and dance on the logo, something is off. You're about to play a game here. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned T.O., dude, and I think fans actually respect the way T.O. did it like 500 times more.
Yeah,
you're doing it in the middle of a game. And other guys are going to come up and confront you about it. The dude tackled him. This is like a passive-aggressive way. You're doing it before the game on a video, like, and there's no one around it. Dude, it's like there's just something off with all of it.
Like you said, it's passive-aggressive. It's the sneaky, I want to be bad, but I'm not all the way there yet, man.
Moss did this in front of people. Yeah. Chad Johnson did it in front of people.
Think of all these dudes, man. If you're going to do it, do it. Don't sneak and do it.
Do it after a touchdown. Right. Do it after you do something.
Like all those dudes, man, they gonna celebrate. They gonna let you know how they feel about you. Moss didn't moon the Packers crowd before the game. He mooned him after he caught a bomb on him. You feel me? Like, then he like, yeah, I'm doing that. T.O., he didn't celebrate on the store before the game. He catch a touchdown on you, talk greasy to you the whole 50 yards that he's running to the logo, and then after you hit him, he came back and got off some more. It wasn't like he got hit, all right, didn't do anything else in the game. No, he comes back and gives you more productivity. That's the only thing, man.
There's a difference. Yeah. There really is. Like, there's probably some people out there that want to say, oh, he's just having fun, he's celebrating. A lot of people say, no, there's a difference. We just laid it all out.
Without a doubt.
Because every celebration up to this point that Juju's done, it's been after a touchdown. His Dragon Ball Z stuff, some of the funny stuff he's done in the end zone, which is all fine. We love it.
That. We love that.
There's a difference now.
Yes.
There's definitely a
And
difference.
we even said, man, I told you, I think we said it off, man. I had the issue with last week when he did score and didn't celebrate. I'm like, bro, you celebrate all the time. Now you score right here, we're trailing, and because people have talked about it, now you don't want to celebrate. Like, no, you're a celebrating guy. You're a fun, just young, energetic guy. Be that. We're not saying to not be that. We're just saying understand the situation, understand when to be that. Man, you could be the greatest comedian in the world. If you're sitting in a meeting where you need to be focused, it's a serious issue, you're not about to come in there and be all high, key. No, you're going to be a little bit more focused. So same concept, not saying that you can't be the fun-loving dude that you are, but just understand, man, doing this before the logo is more distraction. It's not helping you. It's clearly not helping you. If it was helping you, we would be seeing more productivity. So if it's not helping you, it's becoming more of a distraction and people are having to answer for it. It's probably a situation where you probably should stop doing it for the time being. That's just how I look at it, man.
No, 100%. Now, you want to be a social media guy. You want to build your brand and everything. That's 100% fine. Mm-hmm. But we're allowed to criticize you and say, like, man, is Juju really a team player? Is he about the Steelers? Is he about the team?
Especially because it was brought up specifically last week. They asked him beforehand, and that's what we said beforehand. We're not even going to critique.
No, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. It's like, okay, now you have a decision to make. If you make
asked him last week, yes.
If you make it less of a deal, then that's fine. What's happened these past 3 weeks or 4 weeks is whatever, not big of a deal. But you've made it a bigger deal than what it needs to be. That fork in the road that I talked about. I have some advice. Take LeBron James' advice. Read some books. Go off social media. What was he reading? Jay-Z and Coded.
Jay-Z.
Yeah, do something like that. That's my advice.
He's 2 weeks away from 0 dark 30.
Who?
Juju. Because remember, Brian Zeus goes.
It's time now. Let's be real.
Let's go early.
Yeah, it's time. We got to win this division.
You're right.
That's my advice.
You're right.
Take it from LeBron, who's the greatest basketball player over the past 20 years. Who's done that type of
honestly,
stuff.
one of the greatest professional athletes we've just seen in the history of sports, just in general.
Like I said, if you want it to be about sport and football, that might be some good advice. I mean, if LeBron did it, why not you?
Yeah, can't go wrong with that now. All right, so this next question is from A Jermaine 100. A Jermaine 100, and that's with a G too, not a J. All right, will we pick up a linebacker before it's too late? I think it's going to depend on two things. Number one, they should be getting Vince Williams back off the COVID list this week, which would be a huge addition. But number two, they're going to obviously have to evaluate just the overall health of Marcus Allen and Ulysses Gilbert. I know they were able to finish the game, but you never know. It just turns out if something's lingering or not. So you definitely want to, that's going to play a role. If those guys are healthy, though, if everyone's healthy on the inside, I don't see them making this, adding a guy this week, because you have to think they're still going to have Vince Williams, but then it's Vince and Avery Williamson. Vince and Avery are really good together because, number one, Avery is the more dynamic of the two. Obviously, he's had a lot more productive. Well, they both had very productive careers, just in different ways. But for Avery, he needs that extra set of eyes, right? Because he's only 5 weeks now, 6 weeks into this defense. Remember that. Granted, he's been in it before under LeBeau, similar, but it's more so like it's more so like cousins instead of like brother and sister, just because of how it's evolved now versus when he had first got introduced to it. So even though he's confident, it's still some things where he, can need that reassurance. There's a difference between Deke, you being confident knowing that you have this A gap, and you being confident knowing that, hey man, it's 3-by-1. I need to cheat to the trips, but also worry about this deep over route. Like, it's different levels of you just knowing your assignment versus you being confident enough that I don't even have to think about this A gap. I'm worrying about what the offense is running. When Vince is out there, Avery is able to think more of the latter in terms of just big picture. How are we getting attacked? What should I be looking for? When Vince is not out there and he's out there with Marcus Allen was a safety full time last year. He just got switched to inside linebacker. So he's another guy that is not a lot of experience between those two guys. But I think as long as Vince is healthy and Vince comes back, they're fine at inside linebacker. I think the play of the inside linebackers increases drastically. I think Avery Williamson plays a lot better. And I think on the contrary, or not even on the contrary, I think also Marcus Allen's going to play a lot better because now his role is going to be more situational based. It's going to be more passing related.
Which was great whenever I remember the Bengals game. Yeah.
The Bengals game, the Bills game early on before they really started identifying and say, well, let's run at him. Before that, he played well in there, man. He's a space player. So I think when you can put him as your third linebacker solely for coverage and not the starting linebacker, I think that boosts them up as a whole. But it's more so going to be related directly to Vince Williams coming back and what are the impacts from COVID that he might still be dealing with. Because he talked about how he said his lungs
some of
felt
those dudes get banged up.
Yeah,
man.
He said his lungs felt like he smoked, I think he said 8 packs of cigarettes, a Black and Mild, a Russian, I forgot what he said. It was a Russian something, and it was one other thing. But he said his lungs felt just insanely terrible. So that's another thing that you got to be aware of. Just, okay, first game back, what's that going to look like? Is he going to be available for the whole time? Are they going to have him on a snap count in terms of just limiting the amount of plays he's going to play? So it's a lot of things that are going to go into that. But I don't think they add anyone just yet. If something happens in this Colts game where they lose another guy or the guys aren't playing up to snuff, then yes, I think they will make a move. But right now, I think they're going to stay put.
Okay. Yeah. Works for me.
All right. Let's get to this. All right. I think I said this right. Brandon Steven. How do you feel about the Steelers' odds in the playoffs?
I told you this, dude. We got a chance. That's all I care about. I just care about making the playoffs. And every season up to this point in my life with Big Ben, I've always felt that way. If we have 7, we have a chance. Now, what I said earlier is I'm chalking up this last game to bad game versus shitty team. I think we're going to bounce back here. So do we have as good a chance as any? I don't like Vegas. They're going to have some other teams as more of a favorite, obviously. But in terms of my hope, come on, dude. I go off that eternal hope. We know what they said in Shawshank. Hope is a good thing. That's all I need. All I need is a chance, man. So I feel good about it.
Are they making any noise, though?
Huh? See, here's the thing.
Because you said a chance. What's a chance?
Yeah.
When we talked about making noise last year, you said the Titans going to the AFC Championship game last year was not making noise. So I need clarification from you because you were very specific about making the playoffs because you just said I'm more worried about making the playoffs, which we already know we're in the playoffs. We're good. But I remember last year you said Buffalo just making the playoffs wasn't enough. And then you said, like I said, Titans winning 2 road playoff games, losing to the eventual Super Bowl champs.
Did I say they did make noise?
You said they did not make noise. And I said, dang, dude, they went to the AFC Championship game, beat New England on the road, beat the 1 seed on the road, and lost to the hottest team in the NFL. You said they did not make noise. You didn't believe in Tannehill anyways. Right. And it was just a matter of time.
I think that's why. Because in my personal record book, it's just like, I just don't think you're going to do anything.
All the way to the AFC Championship, though.
With the Steelers, I still think we're going to do something. So that's why.
So we got to be going to the Super Bowl then, according to you. Because AFC Championship isn't enough.
It's not like that. It's like, I'm just trying to think. There's teams in the past that win a playoff game or two, but you're just like, nah, they're not going to do anything. They don't have a chance.
But you just said that, or two. You went to the AFC Championship game.
Nah, but
that's a big deal. That's one game before the Super Bowl. Like, what are we talking about here?
I just still didn't believe in them. That specific team. I guess it is arbitrary where you take team. Yeah,
that's why I'm just like, how does that work?
I'm telling you straight up, it is. It's team by team. It's whatever feel I have for that certain team if they got a chance or not. So Steelers, yeah, I feel like we got a chance.
Yeah. I don't feel good about it at all. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm confident in the team. I just don't think that when you're talking about the teams that they're gonna match it with in the playoffs, those are the teams that they're going to be struggling with in terms of we still, like I said, yesterday we had a little bit, I mean, that was probably the best we've seen our running game look in a while. But to me, I mean, that's what you're supposed to do against the Bengals defense, right? We talked about these past couple of teams and how, they got a bad run defense. They got a bad run defense. They got a good, we struggled against good and bad rush defense. That was the first time we've looked good against a bad rush defense in forever. So to me, I don't know if that was, I chalked that up as more of a one-off and more of because it was the Bengals than us figuring out this running game, like even the Bengals, you got to think they were without their starting linebacker and Logan Wilson as well. So as much as we just talked about our linebacker situation, theirs was even worse because they were already dealing with lesser talented players and they were going to be down one of their young promising rookies as well. But to me, man, when you talk about some of these playoff teams they're going to face, I mean, let's be real. Are they going to beat a Buffalo, right? Would they beat that team that played last night? Would they beat Buffalo? That team that played last night, would they beat the Colts? That team that played last night, would they beat, let's see, who else is in there out the AFC? The Titans. I personally don't see it. I don't. I mean, something could change, but I personally don't see it right now. They're still looking very inconsistent on offense. This is what, 7 weeks now where we still are trying to figure out the identity of the offense. Like we've seen them be able to connect on some big plays. We've seen them be relying upon pass interference as well, but we still haven't seen a lot of consistency or an identity in terms of, this is how we attack and have success. Like we know, we're a short passing attack team, but we're not a productive short passing attack team. So like, what is our thing? What is our bread and butter where we know, all right, if we got to go to something, we can go to this. It used to be the hurry up. That used to be the go-to, right? Oh man, if we're struggling, man, just go hurry up tempo, man, we'll cook. Teams have caught up to that now. That isn't having the success that it's had. We talked about how in the past, we'll go with the short to intermediate passing attack, dink and dunk it to death. Teams have adjusted to that now. We've seen that not working. We've tried to do the deep ball. All right, let's just keep throwing it out there, man. Either we're going to catch it or get the pass interference. We haven't been getting either one of those of lately. And regardless, I mean, some people will question whether or not some of these are missed pass interferences or not. That's neither here nor there. You know how I feel about referees anyways. I'm not going to ever complain about them because, you just never know what you're getting with them. It's 50-50. But to me, when I look at those flaws, I don't see how those are going to get corrected or rectified against these upper echelon teams or these teams that are going to be able to push you and make you have to keep up with them. That to me is the bigger issue. I think defensively we're still going to be fine as long as we can get back healthy. That's the biggest thing. Getting the linebackers back, I think that's going to help them out a ton. I do think, and we said this once Bud went down, we thought the pass rush would struggle a little bit. And at times it has. It has not been that hostile environment consistently since Bud has went down. We talked about that. We said, man, as great as TJ is, man, a lot of that still does have to do with Bud being on the other side, getting the attention that he gets. And even when he doesn't get double teamed, he's winning. Right now, they're not getting it on the other side. So that was another reason why when we talked about Bud's value and people were like, well, you can just put anyone on the opposite side of TJ and it's still going to work out. That wasn't accurate. And now we're seeing that as well. So when you factor in all of those things, man, I just don't see how we're going to compete with the teams that we're going to have to beat. If we're trying to beat the Bengals, I'm not worried about the Bengals. We played them 10 times, we'll beat them 9. That's not a team that you're going to see in the playoffs, though. You tell me, based on what you saw last night and based on what you saw the week before that, or even the past 3 weeks, Washington, Buffalo, and Cincinnati, those 3 performances, based on those 3, what playoff teams in the AFC do you think we're beating?
Based off those performances, right. But Can we put it together? That's the thing. So
that's what I'm asking. Can we?
I think we can. I do believe it. Because there were certain signs in those games where we did keep Josh Allen in check for 3 quarters. Our offense was moving against
2 quarters,
2.5, 3 quarters, however you want to put it. But like I saw that. So you combine it with the Washington game. I saw our offense moving, especially in the first half. Mm-hmm. Can we combine all this shit together? We got the run game going this game. Mix it all up. We got a chance, and that's what I'm hoping with, or that's what I'm going with.
I like the hope.
Dude, I told you, Shawshank, man. Yeah. Hope's a good thing, and that's what I'm going with. We got a chance. We got 7. This feels different to me than last year. Like if I feel like we wouldn't have had a chance last year with Duck and the quarterbacks and everything. This year, at least we got 7. I know the past couple performances haven't been good, but it's just like that thing. You know what? We got a chance. We're gonna right the ship here some way or another. So I'm going down with the ship if it does go down, but I'm going with it if it goes up because I still think we got a chance.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. It's just crazy to think that. I mean, pretty much a lot of things were the exact same in these scenarios last year, right? In terms of the quarterback, them having Ryan Finley, and we still were able to beat them with Duck and Mason.
It was bad. It was a terrible game.
This is bad. This is bad. This is bad. This is like literally if we would have took if that game they got played last year, if we would have been like, oh man, I bet if Ben was out there, we'll lose. Like we would all been sitting here like, man, get out of here, not a chance. And that's literally what just happened. Like Ryan Finley, I don't think people understand. Ryan Finley was the quarterback, not Joe Burrow, not Brandon Allen, who was their number 2 guy. Ryan Finley.
Like I said, we've had bad performances in the past like this against Ryan Mallett Ravens, against the Jets when they were terrible. So like, it's just one of those things you throw out.
You keep saying we had it, and the difference was this. Never did we have those performances after 2 other performances like that. Typically, you're coming into those games on a winning streak. 2 games, 3 games, 5 games. It's called the trap game. Yesterday wasn't a trap game. You were already down 2 games, and this was the game you're supposed to be trying to get right. This wasn't a trap. This was a get right game.
I think we've officially hit rock bottom, though. That's the thing. Like, even after last week, there was still like, bro, come on. Bengals this week. You know, we had a bad hiccup against the Bills, who are still a good team. Mm-hmm. Whatever, Bengals 2-11, whatever it is. So like, I think it is rock bottom now.
Okay.
Only way to go from rock bottom is up.
Well, that makes sense then. I didn't think you viewed this as rock bottom. That's what I was saying. So now it makes sense for you to be now the hope makes a lot more sense if you feel like you can't get any worse. For me, I still viewed it as it could still get worse.
Okay, fair. Yeah, I think this is rock bottom. I mean, you could see from my face and just me, I've hit rock bottom too. So I'm in line with the Steelers here. We're both going up. That's the only way we can go. Like a phoenix rising from the ashes.
For me, the reason why I don't look at it as rock bottom is, number one, they still control their destiny for the division. You win this week against the Colts, you still win the division. Even though that was crazy. I was like, how does that whole thing play out, man? I mean, essentially, us and the Browns could have the exact same record. If we split these last 2 and they win their last 2, we'll both be sitting at, 12-4.
Okay.
But we still will win the division, though.
Even if we lose to the Browns?
Yeah, we
just got to win one of the games. Yeah, it's something with the tiebreaker.
That's what it is, but it doesn't make sense. I'm like, how does that work?
Well, we already have the win against the Browns.
But if we lost the last one, then it splits. We wouldn't have the tiebreaker anymore with them.
I know. So it goes to it goes some,
it's like
some
AFC
weird thing.
Opponents and then NFC opponents.
Probably AFC like North opponents, common opponents.
Yeah,
that's probably what it is.
Because they would have been swept by the Ravens, whereas we swept the Ravens.
Okay.
So then that could be a difference too.
They beat the Bengals twice though. So I don't know what it is.
I don't know.
Yeah, it gets deep though.
Yeah, because I'm like, it's going to be like identical everything. I said you could probably go point score or better opponent record between Baltimore and Cincinnati. Obviously, Baltimore would be the higher quality opponent, so maybe that ranks into it. We'd have to look into that a lot more. But as long as they still control their destiny, I don't view it as rock bottom. If you go out here and you lose to the Colts this weekend, and then you got to go face Cleveland to win the division, to me, that to me is more so rock bottom. And when you talk about not controlling your destiny in terms of just winning the division and then the seeding associated with that to me is more so rock bottom at this stage. I still think, man, as long as they have the opportunity to win this division, they still have the opportunity to control their seeding and things like that. I still feel like they got life. So
that's what I mean. You still have some hope, though. I guess you're just more concerned about like Chiefs critical. Or Bills.
Right. I'm more looking there instead of me just thinking like, oh, this is the absolute worst it can be. Oh, now let's go from there.
Okay, fair. Yeah, I don't know. I have a good feeling about these next 2 games. I always have a good feeling though, so it is what it is.
I can dig it, man.
You can assess my takes how you want to assess them.
All right. So this one. All right. It's a kind of long question. All right. It's from Josh Schermeyer. We need to freaking relax. But I do have a serious question. It feels like the problem lies with starting slow and Ben either getting balls out too quick before the play develops or is taking shots at inopportune situations like third downs. Do you think this goes on the play calling or Ben just trying not to make mistakes? Actually, I think it's kind of a combo of both. When you talk about in terms of the situational plays, right? The third down and shorts where they'll take a shot deep. People forget we grew to love that under Todd Haley. He had a saying, right? We don't live, we play beyond the sticks. Meaning if it's third and short, if it's fourth and short, everyone is playing pressed up. Everyone is playing for that. But by not living in your fears, we're going to go for the home run here. Catch teams off guard. So when it would happen, we go crazy. You love it. Man, heck yeah, that's a big time play. 3rd and 1, that's clutch. That's it fact. That's all these other, things that we like to use to describe those type of big time plays. But just like in anything, we only focus on the good side. This is the bad side. When it's 3rd and 1, when it's 4th and 1, and you throw a back shoulder fade to Anthony McFarland, even though he was technically open. If it connects, you love it. If it doesn't connect, we're questioning the play call. We're pulling our hair out. We're saying, man, just go get the 1 yard, right? That's some of the things that we're dealing with right now. It's worked at points during the season, right? Where we've seen them, instead of it going for the 1 yard, we take a shot downfield and connect. We love it. But you just have to know, man, when you play that type of ball, that type of high risk, high reward, when it goes bad, you're going to have that sick feeling. So that's the only part with that. And then in terms of, let's see, what was the other part he asked? Said with the slow starts. And I think with the slow starts, we talked about the timing, right? When you're a pass heavy offense, which we know the Steelers are, and we talked about, especially these past 4 or 5 games, they put more of a focus on starting with passes, on being pass happy out the gate. The problem with that is with the passes, man, you got to get the timing and the rhythm right, not just with the quarterback, but with the offensive line, with the receivers. How are the DBs playing the receivers? We can draw it up on paper and run it out here in the yard by ourselves. Hey, Deke, man, run this 3 yard shallow. We're gonna dink and dunk when to start it out. All right, give me a 5 yard out. All right, now give me the 7. With nobody out here, that's fine. But if on this first play I press you, that drag isn't happening no more. So that throw isn't there. If on that second one you're running it out, if I'm running just a basic cover 2, I got a corner sitting out there. That throw's not there. And now we get the 3rd down and now run the 7 cut and now they're playing Tampa 2. They got a safety sitting over top of it. It doesn't matter. So that also plays into the slow starts, man. It's the gift and the curse of the beginning of games too. You're traditionally scripting your first 15 plays, right? You'll go out there and say, these are the plays we want to run. But at the same time, as much as you like it because it gives you an idea, you can't be locked into those 15 plays solely because you have to be able to adapt, man. Like I said, if a team is coming out and they're giving you heavy man press, you got to adapt to that. If a team is coming out and they're giving you the zones and letting you catch underneath and tackle and catch, you got to adapt to that. Yeah. If a team is playing some type of exotic where, okay, they're going to be man to man up front, but they're going to have, two safeties sitting high over top, you got to adapt to that. Those are the things that I feel like this team has been struggling with early in games. It takes them, instead of it taking them a series or 2 to adapt, it's taking them a half, it looks like, to adapt, for them to catch up and say, okay, this how they attack this. This is what we want to do. Now let's go out there. You just gotta improve the adjustments sooner. I feel like, especially offensively. Defensively, they've been fine. It's more so, like I said, offensively, just that initial adjustment of this is our plan. Plan doesn't work. This is how we respond to that. I think once we can figure that out sooner, we'll be a lot more productive on offense. Because you brought it up, man. We've seen glimpses of them having success. That 3rd quarter, they moved the ball. We talked about the Bills game. They moved the ball in the 3rd quarter. They have flashes of it, but it just seems like, okay, we're late to the adjustment. And then once we make our adjustment, we never have another adjustment after that team adjusted what we did in the 3rd quarter. You saw even last night, we adjusted in the 3rd quarter. We started having success. 4th quarter happens. The Bengals make another adjustment and we never really caught back up to that. It was like, dang, like, all right, how long is that going to take? So that's my perspective on it, man.
I think that's all fair. I mean, I think we're
rambling, man.
I think we've
frustrated, man.
Well, we've hit on some of this like throughout the podcast. Whenever we mentioned the Figner question at the beginning, and then also talked about Ben a little bit. I think you just kind of brought all that together there. So yeah, I think it's fair.
I'm just sad, bro.
Yeah,
I'm sad. I don't like being sad. I don't know if you can tell.
Yeah, it's tough, man.
I guess I shouldn't be complaining though.
Why? You got both your eyebrows.
All these considered here. You just made me happy again. See, I just need to take a picture of your face. Anytime I'm having a bad day, if wifey yells at me, if I forget to, take the edges off my kids' bread, on a sandwich, like I'll just look at your face. And
they get on you for that.
They do. It's a hostile environment, very competitive. They're always talking about don't make me go shopping. That's what they tell me. Hey, we'll go find a new one. I'm like, all right, it's competitive. I said, treat me like the quarterback. I don't want competition. Let me be the guy. They're not giving me that. They talking about drafting my replacement, and we having to go fight for it. All right. So yeah, it's a lot of pressure. So
that's disheartening.
But like I said, I appreciate your facial composition right now. Yeah. It's bringing great delight to me. All right. So this one is from Jonathan Brown. I think you'll like this one.
Okay.
I sadly made a bet with one of my buddies that if the Steelers lose, I will become a Bengals fan for the next year.
What? You can't do. You actually can't do that.
See you guys in 2022.
It's impossible because the fanhood's in the heart. You can't actually do that.
No, you can.
No, you can't actually.
That's how you do it. Think about it. So you're a Steelers fan, right?
Yeah.
You don't own an ounce of Bengals gear, do you?
Yeah.
So for all the next year, you're only wearing Bengals gear. I don't care what team you're passionate about, but you're going to wear Bengals gear.
Yeah, but you can't call yourself a Bengals fan, though. It's just
you can't call yourself a Steelers fan wearing the Bengals gear.
Huh?
You calling yourself a Steelers fan wearing only
it's
Bengals?
In the heart. You lost the bet. That's all.
But you're wearing Bengals gear for the rest of the year.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate, man. You're just gonna look bad. That's
so
all.
You're gonna look like a Bengals fan.
You're gonna look like it, but deep down, that's what I mean. Deep down, whenever you say the phrase "fan," it's like, who are you rooting for? Deep down, you're rooting for the Steelers. So you just made a bad bet, dude.
The bet was you have to be a Bengals fan. So that means you're going to be watching Bengals games. You're going to be wearing Bengals gear. If it's a 1:00 kickoff, Bengals playing on one channel, Steelers on the other channel, you're watching the Bengals game.
Yeah, but you're still not rooting for them. That's the thing.
You're still watching
it. Yeah, you're watching it. You're wearing the gear. Whatever. You're not an actual fan, though. Still.
I feel like you're more of a fan if you're watching them, though. If the game's on at the same time and I got to watch the Bengals.
No, you're just forced to.
You're forced to be a fan of them.
No, because deep down you're still rooting for the Steelers. You're still rooting for the Steelers.
But you still have to watch the Bengals in all of their gear. You're supporting their organization by buying their merchandise.
And then you burn it after the year. That's all.
So you supported them still. They still got that money, and then you lost money by burning the gear.
No, you can sell it on eBay, do whatever. He's not really a Bengals fan. I get the bet.
To deal with it, yeah.
No, I get the bet. You just made a bad bet. I know you deep down you're still going to be rooting for the Steelers. So you're still a Steelers fan. You just got a bad wardrobe choice and you're spending your time unwisely. That's how it goes.
Hey man, unfortunately, however you want to word it, a Bengals fan is going to be a Bengals fan right now. At least
he's not. I believe in him still being a Steelers fan. I just based off the definition.
I'm just saying the definition of a fan. I mean, you got the passion for it, but also what are you displaying? If I said I'm a Steelers fan, but every time we record the podcast, I come in here with a Buffalo Bills shirt, are they going to say I'm a Bills fan or a Steelers fan? Just think about it, and I can say it every time.
What are you in your heart though?
I can tell them every time. I'm just saying, and just in theory, if I come up here every day and I'm like, bro, I love the Steelers. Steelers are my team, but I got Bills hat. I got Bills shirt. I don't even watch the Steelers play. I only watch Bills games. What are you going to tell me I am?
Here's what it comes down to. It would probably be in whatever.
What would you tell me though? What would you would say I'm a Bills fan?
It's questionable, but I think the thing
your fan should never be in question though.
He lost the bet though. You're not doing that because of a bet.
I'm just saying, if to the person that's watching it though. If the outside observer, you're going to say that is a fan of that team, man.
Perception, appearance, that can all be false. Yeah. Right? We know that.
However you want to put it, man.
We know that. But no, here's the thing. With the whole Bell scenario and you watching games and stuff. Yeah. I think it really comes down to when you're watching it, when you're by yourself, or maybe you're just at your house.
Well, yeah, who are you passionate about? I'm with
Where's your heart at, man? Mm-hmm. So, like, yeah, if you were rooting more for the Bills against the Steelers or something, like someone would have to observe that. But, like, that's something you probably have to look yourself in the mirror and know deep down. Like, with this guy, I think he's still deep down a Steelers fan. There's no way. He just lost the bet.
So, you don't know who he is, right? You've never seen this guy. If you're at McFadden's next weekend and you see a guy in there with a Bengals hat, Bengals shirt, got the Chad Johnson jersey, watching the Bengals game, rooting for the Bengals in the game because he has to, support them. You're not gonna look at that guy and be like, oh, man, that's got to be a Steelers fan. You can be like, that's a Bengals fan. Get out of here.
When you get down to it, though, if you have a conversation with them, bro, what's going on with this Bengals shit? Like, bro, I lost the bet, man. Well, I got messed up. Yeah. And it's like, all right, yeah, I get you. You're a Steelers fan.
Well, you're gonna have to get to the conversation part. That's what I mean.
Deep down, he's still a Steelers fan.
You forget. I traveled on the road with you to away games. I don't remember seeing you ask any of these. Hey, why'd you start like in this team? What made you a fan of that team? I didn't see that. I saw us out here on the road, man. Still a nation, still a nation.
Oh, because we had our own Steeler tailgate.
Yeah,
That's
so
the
we
thing.
were, but it was times where we had opposing fan bases in there. We've seen that.
Wait, why? When am I ever going to have a conversation?
I'm just saying. That's what I'm getting to, though. You gave me this long, elaborate, man. If I see the guy, I'm gonna go over to him, have a conversation with him, and ask him, hey, what's going on?
No.
I understand this.
If a conversation starts, they would bring that up first.
Okay.
They would. There's no way, like,
but if the
any of us would have the wherewithal.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. If we're never going to have these conversations, if I just see you in that gear, the assumption is by 90% of the people around is that, oh, that's a fan of that guy, of that team, man.
Perception's not reality, though. That's what I'm telling you. He's still a Steeler fan. He's still just a bad bet, dude. That was a bad. I don't even know why you'd make that bet.
Really?
Make a bet where you got to shave your eyebrow off or something. Don't compromise your Steeler fanhood, because Moats is questioning it now. Like, I still believe in you, but man, that was a bad bet. It really was.
At least he has his eyebrows, right? So hey,
no, I'd rather have no eyebrows. Trust me, than wearing the Bengals gear and doing all that type of shit. You're spending your time bad.
I would much rather wear a Bengals shirt than shave my eyebrows, bro. I am not shaving my eyebrows.
You can't be wearing other teams' jerseys.
Shaving your eyebrows, bro. Yeah. Come on, man.
I'd rather do that than his bet. My bet was better in my opinion.
All right. Personal question. When you sleep at night, do you have a significant other next to you, or you solo in your bed, right?
I don't,
not relationship status, just in your bed, you're typically solo, right?
Yeah.
That helps you. I got a wife. If I roll over and I got one eyebrow and none, the wife is gonna look at me scared. She might call the police on me at night. She would say, who is this guy? Who are you? Where's my husband? So that's another reason why, for me, I'm just a little bit more conscientious of those type of things.
Okay, yeah, I guess you could chalk it up to different stages in life.
All right, and this is the last one here. This is from Terrence Bird. It's actually a two-part question, too. Okay, Moats, as a former player, is Tomlin good at making adjustments during the game? Because it seems like he's just big on doing what we do. Also, do you think if Bill Belichick was our coach this season with our talent, would we be having these same type of issues?
Whoa.
That's actually a good question.
Hot topic. Hot question.
It's super hot. I like it. Got me sweating a little bit.
I think you're way better to answer this, because I like Tomlin. Like, if you put his resume up to any other coach in the league, he's in like top 3 or 4. So I really have no complaints there with him. Yeah.
In terms of the adjustment that Tomlin makes, I hate when I have to answer like this in terms of like saying technically both things are true. In terms of Coach Tomlin is one of the most bullheaded, stubborn people I know when it pertains to calls. In terms of because he spends so much time preparing for opponents. He knows tendencies like crazy. I mean, you just ask this guy, hey man, third down, like what are they typically doing? Oh man, they want to attack you to the flats. They're going to get in bunch, 80% of the time, and they're trying to do outbreaking routes. That's what we're going to run cover 2. We're going to run in man-to-man. But if we do go man-to-man, we'll probably be 2-man because I want to have protection on both sides. Like, he's that like genius with it, right? But at the same time, it hurts him because he's so confident, believes in it so much that even though his plan might work, if the execution isn't there, right? We talked about, okay, if you're going to run some of these things, all right,
everything's gonna be perfect.
Right, technique wise, has to be perfect. We talked about the man to man with Vince and Avery, right, and the confusion in Washington. It's like, great plan. The plan was perfect, but the execution lagged, right? But if that's going to continue, you would have to adjust it. Sometimes with Coach Tomlin, he'll still be believing that, man, the execution will catch up. That, hey, you'll get the execution, you'll execute, you'll get it. And then you look up and it's 4 times now that it hasn't worked. And then he finally is like, all right, I'll make the switch. That is his biggest flaw to me when you're talking about his in-game adjustments. Situation in terms like clock management, sure, you can get onto that. And people will debate that because with clock management, everybody has different philosophies in terms of the aggression that you want, passiveness that you want, being smart. It's a lot that goes into that. But in terms of just his overall philosophy when it pertains to adjustments, that to me is the biggest thing. But when he does make the adjustments, typically he's money. And we saw that. We talked about it earlier. The biggest adjustment he made in the second half, they kept running the zone read with Ryan Finley. Typically, the reason why zone reads work at the NFL level is because at the NFL level, you never have to account for the quarterback. Collegiately, you got to account for the quarterback. So collegiately, you're like, DN, you're going to take this dive every time. Inside linebacker, your job is to take the quarterback every time. Collegiately, you can do that because the quarterbacks are more of a factor. But then also the quarterbacks aren't as dynamic passing either. At the NFL level, it's the reverse. Typically at the NFL level, these guys excel throwing the ball, but they don't run that same threatening level. So you can have a DN typically take both guys. You can have TJ Watt, Alex Heisman say, hey, look, I want you to play the dive. If the quarterback pulls it, react back and make the tackle. Typically, you can do that. Finley was a little bit more athletic than I think any of us anticipated, and we saw the success that he was having, especially on these perimeter runs where he was pulling it. The adjustment they made was what, though? Minka, I want you to play this as if it was cover zero. Your job solely is to if this quarterback pulls it, that's who you have.
Yeah.
Great adjustment. Great execution. Gutsy as heck, though. Super gutsy. We talked about that earlier. Super gutsy, but it worked, and that is the adjustments. Those are the things that Coach Tomlin is capable of. My only thing I would ask is that he assert himself more offensively, but in Pittsburgh and just the way it's been set up because of him and Ben's relationship and the trust for each other, he will never cross that line to doing some of those in-game adjustments offensively. It'd be more philosophical. It'll be more of a philosophical adjustment in terms of, hey,
run the ball.
I want us to run the ball more, or hey, I want us to take a shot here, or hey, I want us to go more quick game. That's about the full extent of how hands-on he's going to be offensively. He allows Randy Fichtner, Ben, and Matt Canada to take full responsibility of that, which is common. I mean, you look at Belichick, that's what he does up in New England.
McDaniels.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Andy Reid is the flip side in terms of him controlling offense, but you got the coordinators doing the defense. Like, everyone has a different way that they handle it. I just think with Coach Tomlin, because he is so smart in terms of knowing how to, number one, minimize the offense, but number two, he understands how he could be attacked defensively. I think he is smart enough to understand and use some of those concepts to help the offense out as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But like I said, I've never seen him do it in terms of being more assertive like that, because he typically, like I said, he defers to the offensive guys from that standpoint, because he knows that's not his quote unquote strong suit. But just even me, like when you're around the game for so long and you study and you understand big picture, because that's another thing, like being able to see big picture philosophies, the thought process behind it. He's on that level. When you're there, I feel like you can be more assertive on either side of the ball. And that's, like I said, one thing that I would want to see more of him. And with Belichick, I mean, let's be real. Belichick's a great coach, without a doubt. Would he be having success? Sure. But at the same time, he struggled last year with that whole situation that they had in New England, man, when their offense started struggling a little bit. And people will criticize the receivers, but my rebuttal is this. You criticize those receivers, they had a ton of drops. But people act like the Steelers are leading the league in drops as well. Like, you're still seeing similar issues in both scenarios. Difference is, even with the defense, I mean, Coach Tomlin's done a great job of keeping his defense playing at a high level throughout the year, whereas with New England last year, and the reason I keep saying last year is because I feel like it was most similar in terms of talent and play style, right? Both had quarterbacks that were good, but aging a little bit. Both had receiving situations where they were having a ton of drops. Both offensive lines were average, I mean, that's pretty much where they were, average, no real dominant run game.
Defense solid.
Defense were really good.
Tailed off a little bit.
Absolutely. So that's why I keep comparing the two. So to me, I don't view what Belichick did last year in that scenario better than what Coach Tomlin's doing this year in this scenario. I don't think that Belichick could come in here and, this team would be still undefeated right now. I don't think that would happen either. I just think,
you're saying it this year, but can't. Yeah. I mean, it's been eye-opening just because you've seen with the Patriots, absolutely, how long they've done it. And these last 2 years for them, it's different. Personnel gets a little bit different. Mm-hmm. You go on a run. I think he even mentioned this. He's like, what do you want me to do? Like, we sold out for championships our last couple years. So I think their cap's all messed up. You could just tell they're a little bit off with their players and everything. Yeah. So it's like you said, I don't know. I think we're fine with where we're at with Tomlin.
But to me, I'm like that. Yeah, I don't think Belichick or any other coach would come in here and do some better job. I think less about head coach. If we want to talk coordinator stuff, that's different.
Like McDaniel,
right? Not even McDaniel. I mean, we talked about Brian Daboll up in Buffalo. He's an offensive coordinator. Eric Bieniemy, we know about him. I mean, we obviously seen how Stefanski, even though he's a head coach now, how he was traditionally an OC. Like, if we're talking that's a difference. But comparing, I mean, we're talking about going Belichick to Tomlin, like, that's not that big of a jump to me. I understand people say, well, look at how many rings he's had. But then you can also point and say, well, look at how many scandals he's had as well. I mean, it's a lot that goes into
scandals, having Brady.
Yeah, like it's a lot that goes into it, man. So that's my biggest thing with that, man. I don't think that gap is just so astronomical as people like to try to make it sound. That's all.
For sure. Is that it?
All right. Actually, I did have two more. I think it was. And then after that, we'll put this to bed.
I'm guessing
24-hour rule.
I think I can guess on one of them.
Oh, what you got, man?
You want me to guess?
I do want you to guess.
Questions? Okay. Were we going to give the credit though to?
We'll give him. If you're right, we'll give him credit.
All right, we got to give credit. Benny Snell, RB1.
Well, actually, that was the one I was looking for. That's not the one I was on right now, but we'll go to that.
That was the second one?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So people were asking Benny Snell versus James Conner. I actually, because I wanted to give the person credit who said it too. But shout out to you, man. I knew you was going to be yours.
Yeah, find them, give them credit. But
Hold on.
I can go off on it while you're trying to find it because, it's clear. Benny Snell is RB1. And we talked about this.
Oh, I found it too. I'm good now. You good?
We talked about this beginning of the season whenever he went off against the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's got a little bit more to him than Conner, just in terms of talent. Like, if we're able to give him the ball 20, 25 times a game, then, I do think he's an upgrade over Conner. And I think we saw it in the Giants game and we saw it in the Bengals game. The biggest thing was always the fumbles.
Mm-hmm.
He did it in the Giants game. He did it again in the Broncos game, and that kind of put him in the doghouse a little bit. So he started splitting carries with Conner. He was definitely the second guy. Max he was getting is like 7-8 carries a game. So you're not really able to see what he's fully capable of up to this point after that Giants game. Now we see him. He was able to protect the ball this game. How many carries did he end up having? Over 20?
18 carries, yeah.
How many yards?
18 carries, 84 yards, 4.7 per. Had a touchdown and a long of 29 yards.
Touchdown. He had some receptions too. Like, I just think you could
his
tell.
receptions, he was 3 for 23, 7.7 per, long of 14. He caught 3 of the 4 targets.
Eye test, the production speaks for itself. I feel like our offense was a little bit different there. I think if we get him, we get Dotson back, dude, we might have a semblance of a running game going forward, and I think that could really help. I think it's no question Snell.
I like it. So this is, and just to give the person credit too, Jesse George says, do you think Benny Snell can be the feature back? I feel like he can be. I love the way he runs, and I feel like he can take over that job. That was my only positive takeaway from this game. Yeah,
I thought him and Deontay, like I said, with Deontay.
No, I agree, man. Benny, he does look a lot twitchier. I love his demeanor in terms of when he runs the ball. He's running to finish runs, not running to not fumble or not mess up or not get hurt. I do think from a ball security standpoint, he didn't put the ball on the ground yesterday, but I did see 2 instances where the ball
it was close.
It was close. And that's the only. So, trust me, most people aren't going to notice it. The only reason we notice is because as defenders, we're taught to look for that. Anytime you're tackling a guy from behind, is that ball wiggling, moving? If it moves, we look at that as, we're going to make him fumble. If every time you see that guy get tackled, that ball never moves, you're like, he doesn't have any issues. And it was definitely times where you see the ball move and now he puts the extra hand on it to protect it after the fact. But to me, that still lets me know that he still has to continue working on it. It didn't hurt us yesterday, but you still want to stay focused. And even with James Conner, we talked about James against Buffalo. He put a ball on the ground that game. We recovered it, so it kind of got minimized, but he definitely put it on the ground. And that's the thing. It's like you'll see it typically, though. It's like, all right, a game or two before, you might see the ball look a little loose, or all right, it moved a little bit, and it's like, all right, well, you got away with it. You kind of forget about it, and then it shows up. So I just want to make sure this isn't a scenario like that either, where okay, you got away with it versus the Bengals, it didn't come out, but now versus the Colts, it does come out. Because they're going to be a lot more ball aware. Darius Leonard, for example, he's a guy that's a ball hawk. He's looking for that type of stuff. So that's the only concerns that I have with Benny. But as a whole, man, I loved how he runs, though, man. I thought. And I don't know if it's just because of Cincinnati, because remember last year he cooked Cincinnati as well. Yep. Like, it's something about when he
closed out the game.
Yeah, man. It's something about when he's playing close to Kentucky, man. He goes off. I don't know.
That's
I don't
fair.
know. But he balling out. He definitely balling out. And for those who don't know, the Bengals stadium is literally like a 5-minute drive to Kentucky.
Yeah.
Like, you just drive over a little bridge and you're in Kentucky, bro. But yeah, every time Benny Snell plays against him, he goes off. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe that's the thing. But we'll I do think that he has earned more touches. I do think that even if they don't want to make him the feature when James comes back, and this is if James is available next week, because remember, James was a late scratch. He didn't practice the first 2 days of the week. I think it was Wednesday and Thursday. He was limited Friday. I think they did walk through Saturday, but he ended up being healthy. He ended up being scratched or whatever from the game on Monday. So with that being said, Monday night kickoff, and now Sunday game, just seeing, is he going to be available? Is he healthy enough to play? If he is, I still feel like you go 50-50 with those guys. Ooh. Even if Conner is healthy, I still go 50-50. If Conner isn't healthy, I'm riding Benny Snell. Benny Snell needs to be 15 plus touches out the backfield. 15 plus touches as a runner, not even screening. I want to see him getting those because we said he's a high volume carry guy.
I was going to say, this was brought up whenever I was watching the game. I was over at my brother's house, a couple of my buddies. They were like, man, with Snell, it just seems like you get him the ball more. He's going to heat up a little bit. And we talked about this with Connor, though, too. They're similar. I just like Benny Snell as a talent and just a runner over Connor, just from the eye test standpoint.
Well, and to me, the biggest problem was this. Outside, well, not even Connor's first year as a starter. We haven't seen, as much as we say Connor is a volume carry guy, the more touches he gets, the better he gets. We've also seen the data backs this up. When he's getting a heavy amount of touches early in the season, typically his productivity drops off the last, 4, 5, 6 games. And they said they look at it as if, okay, man, X amount of carries early on equals him teetering off in the back end. Now, I don't know if Benny Snell is different in terms of would he be able to sustain that level of punishment, because you talk about it, it's a lot. You're going to get banged up. And that's, I feel like, has really happened to James Conner more so than anything. It hasn't been the major injuries, right? With Le'Veon, it was like it had to be a major injury. Other than that, he was available. Yep. With James, we're not seeing major injuries. It's more so the knickknacks, the ticky-tack stuff. And that's why it always feels like he's hurt for just so long, because it's like, well, man, he hurt this 2 weeks ago, but he's still dealing with it, and he's still trying to play, but he's not playing, but he is playing, but he doesn't play well. So it's a lot that goes into that. Benny Snell, him being younger, we haven't seen him really deal with, health issues like that. So that's why, to me, I would want to see, okay, you've done well with these limited opportunities. Throughout these past 6 games, we haven't had a semblance of a running game. You came in and made that happen with no Dotson, with no Matt Filer. I want to see that again. Yeah, I need to see more. I at least owe it to myself to see, can you replicate that productivity regardless of if James is available or not? I need to know, can you replicate that? So that's why for me, I would at least, like I said, if James is healthy, 50-50 split. I need Benny Snell getting touches. If James isn't healthy, Benny's my feature guy.
Okay. I'm good with just giving it all to Snell. But you brought up the points of, the ball security and all that type of stuff, but that's just me. I
can dig it. And the other reason why I still say if James is healthy, I would keep it 50-50 is, number one, James still is the way better pass protector in terms of just keeping Ben clean. Like, he excels in that. Also, with James, you still can be a little bit more dynamic, both running and passing. This was probably the first game in a while we've seen Benny have success just catching the ball out the backfield, you know what I mean? Whereas with James, we know he has that part of his game. So that's why it's like, I don't want to take that from him, but I don't want to get to the point where we're tipping the hand of if it's a run, it's Benny, if it's a pass, whether the guy's going out on a route or protecting is James. Like, that's going to be too predictable.
100%. No. Snell showed some flashes.
No, he definitely did though, man.
Yeah.
Definitely. I just hope he can continue it, man. That's the biggest thing. Keep it going. All right. And now this last question is from Marcus Klingner. Excuse me. All right. It says, is it a good idea to draft Kyle Trask or another QB, or Travis Etienne or Najee Harris, the running backs from Clemson and Alabama?
Trask is the quarterback from Florida.
Yeah. They say he's Heisman hopeful.
Dude, I don't want to be talking about this right now. I just don't.
Because we can't just say it was one bad performance. We're past that.
No, here's the thing. Here's the thing, because I'm not even thinking about that at all.
Okay.
I'm thinking about, like, do we groom a guy 2-3 years down the line, whatever it is. Because I'm not thinking about next year. I'm assuming Ben's back next year. We're good. Whatever.
So you said 2-3 years. So you assume Ben coming back for at least 2.
I've said this, man. I'm hoping so.
Not just
I really
next year.
am.
I'm saying like 21 and 22. Correct.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I've talked about this. I'm hoping we get him for a few more years here, but I understand just the logistics, the objective view of the Steelers franchise. You bring in someone to back them up, the future, whatever it is. Dude, I just don't want to have the conversation. I apologize. I don't even want to think about it. We're mid-season. If we want to get closer to the draft.
Mid-season?
If we want to get close,
2 games left. What you mean mid-season?
I just don't want to have the conversation at all. I'm good with Ben. He's gonna be back next year. He's my guy, dude. I'm rolling with him.
Yo, we at the mid-season point.
I just don't want to talk about it.
Lord.
You can talk about it. It's just not something on my mind right now.
In terms of any of those prospects, trying to think, because we have a first round pick. Do we have a second round pick this year or not? That's what I gotta check. Yeah. Okay, so we should. No, I was because the trades. That's all I was making sure.
Yeah, I think I think we're good.
So if all things are considered, if the guy's available, sure. But That's the real question. Do you think he's going to be available? It's not like we picking in the top 10. That's what you got to remember. Like, we're going to be back in more than likely, or at least closer to the back than the front. Obviously, they can move up and stuff like that, which, I mean, according to you, man, glad you're at the gym. Otherwise, we wouldn't have any draft picks right now because you would have gave them all the way for AJ Green last year.
I think I wanted Diggs, though, too. I mean,
but you wanted AJ Green first, though. I definitely remember that. You said you would trade with
whichever trade rumor was first. That's
yeah, AJ Green was the first one. For a fact.
I think it was Diggs.
No, for a fact it was. For a fact it was, bro. For a fact. You were not on the Diggs train like that. Like, nah. You were nah.
No. I made a whole graphic on it,
bro.
You can check.
No, I know that, but I'm saying like AJ Green was your guy. AJ Green was the guy that you definitely said, bro. Yes,
I don't know about this. I think Diggs was before Green
because I remember saying to you, it was
just whatever receiver was available. That's who I was talking about.
I said you're gonna.
I wanted Martavis first. Martavis and Dez after week 2.
So remember, AJ Green, they were already talking about moving him because of the whole contract situation with Diggs. Diggs said he wanted to get traded. Then he said he didn't want to get traded. And then it came back out. I think afterwards they ended up just trading it, like once the season ended. But it was the back and forth of, oh, he wants to get traded now. He doesn't. All right, we're not going to say nothing else about it. Whereas with AJ, that was for the whole time. It was like, well, bro, they're not going to re-sign him. They're not about to franchise tag him. AJ's going to be available. Let's go get him now. And then you were like, yo, we'll just give up all our draft picks for him. He's worth it. And I'm like, bro, we already done gave up the first round picks for Minka, man. We ain't going to have enough, you know what I mean, to do this. And you like, bro, it don't matter. Like, he's that good. And he was hurt at the time. Remember, he was on either he was or I was supposed to come back.
I remember wanting Green. I just think I wanted a receiver. So it was whoever was available. That's who I was going for.
So I'm just saying in general right now, we wouldn't have any draft picks if that was the case.
I think it would have been last year's draft. We might not have Highsmith or McFarland. Maybe that's it.
Okay. I hope you're right. But
I guess maybe we wouldn't have Claypool then either.
Yeah. Either way, it was going to be a negative, man. Either way. But if those guys are available, I mean, Travis Etienne he's a beast. Let's be real. Najee Harris is a beast. Now, I do feel a little bit, well, I used to feel a little more skeptical of Alabama running backs. Typically, Alabama players, they always seem to be breaking down earlier in their careers at the NFL level.
Eddie and Trent.
Yeah. But you turn around, you look at Henry and Ingram. I mean, they've been able to do some really good things. Obviously, Kamar's another guy who's been able to be a little bit successful. Now, granted,
Kamar was Tennessee.
He was
You're
Tennessee,
thinking SEC, yeah.
I'm thinking SEC, yeah. But just in general, man, with the Alabama guys, it's like, usually I feel a little weird about them. But yeah, right now,
Josh Jacobs too.
Like right now, I was saying, right now, man, those guys have been looking good, especially the younger guys, man. So if one of those guys were available, sure, it's a no-brainer you take them. But I don't think they're gonna be available when we're picking. Like I just don't see any of those. Travis Etienne, Najee Harris, quarterback, Kyle. I don't see them being available to us like that, man. Now, if you're talking about moving up, that's different. Once the season ends and we start hopping into like the draft and QBs and stuff like that, that's different. But still, for a couple reasons, I personally don't think that they're going to draft a quarterback. I don't think they're going to sign a quarterback. 2 reasons. Number one, if you were going to do it, the best time to have done it where it would have made sense, it wouldn't have been awkward, it wouldn't have been a contract dispute, would have been last year when Ben was down, right? Coming off the elbow surgery, regardless of how much you believed in him or not. You could have picked, we talked about, you said you could go Cam, Winston, if you want to draft a guy, Hurts, whatever, right? You could do it and solely base it on, well, Ben was hurt at the time. Because remember, this would be March we're talking about. So at the time Ben was hurt, we didn't know. So we picked the guy as insurance. That'd be fine, right? You can use that line for the next year, 2 years, however long until whatever happens, right? And you're fine. The problem is this. You don't take that approach. And now this year, you have been under contract and Ben's playing a full season. And now people are starting to decide if Ben is still considered elite, if he's fallen off, has Father Time gotten him. Like, that's the conversation being had. So now if you draft a quarterback, if you sign a quarterback, it's no longer going to be into the premise of we were just trying to make sure we had a guy, in case this didn't work out. It's going to come off as that's the successor. That's the replacement. Especially if you draft this guy in the first 2 to 3 rounds. That's how it's going to be viewed. And then you will see, I think, a little bit of tension between Ben and that person. No different than when we drafted Mason. Remember, we drafted Mason in the 3rd round. Ben had an issue and publicly stated it. And we were like, dude, you said you were flirting with retiring before we drafted him. That's the whole reason of us drafting him. So now you have to think, man, if you bring a guy in that's talented enough to potentially be the successor, those are the conversations that are going to really be had. I know you talked about it last year. You were like, man, I don't want to deal with them thinking about Jameis coming in and starting over Ben and Ben plays bad. And I said, man, I don't think that was going to be the case anyways. Going forward, though, whoever they draft, whoever they try to sign, whether it's this year or next year, that's going to be the conversation throughout the year. I mean, as much as we want to kick the can and avoid that from happening, that's going to be the case if they bring in anybody of value, anybody that can have a positive impact, whether they're a top draft pick, whether they're a higher signing free agent, not even saying a crazy deal, just a higher pedigree free agent signing. That's going to bring all of that to a head, man. So, I mean, you make your bed, you got to lay in it. So I feel like not only that reason, but also the $41 million cap hit that he has next year. If anything, I think they're going to have to extend him, because you can't go into next season with him having a $41 million cap hit. That kills what you're trying to do from just a constructing your roster standpoint. And we talked about that before the season as well. It is what it is, baby. It is what it is.
I told you I'm good. I'm riding with 7.
Yeah.
I'm riding with 7 until he says he's done. That's it. That's it, dude.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Philly's riding with Wentz too. It's cool.
I think this is different.
It's cool.
It's way different. Ben's had, 30 touchdowns, 10 picks this year?
That's cool. I'm just saying. You know what it looks like. That's all I'm saying.
This last game, it was bad. These last 2 games were a little bad, but
last 2 or last 3?
I don't think Washington was bad. I really don't. I think that was more drops than anything.
Fair enough.
I really do.
Okay.
I think we're turning it around here, dude.
I just think for $41 million of a cap hit,
we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in the offseason.
No. I just told you. I said they have to extend him. They're not going to let him play under that $41 million cap hit, bro. You just can't. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to have nowhere near the talent that we have right now. So more than likely, what happens, I feel like they extend Ben before they draft a guy in the first or second round, or before they give a nice free agent contract to a quarterback. I think they'll extend Ben before any of that. I'm not saying it's the right decision, but I do think that decision they will make. So.
I'm thinking lineman for the draft. That's what I'm thinking.
I don't think any of it's gonna help right now. But it's all good,
dude. You lost hope, dude. You said there was like, not what happened.
You just said draft an old lineman. I just said I don't think that's gonna help, but it's all good. We'll deep dive into that later on. It's not that time right now.
Yeah, for sure. All right.
You got any hot topics? Are you
no, that's
up?
it. Good, it was Benny Snell, dude. It was Benny Snell. That was my main one.
I'm just
Benny Snell and the Juju dancing. We covered those.
Like I said, I'm just glad I could just look at you to make me happy now.
All right.
Can I just get one more peek before we go, man?
My dumbass smile.
I love it, bro. Anywho, that was fun, though, man.
Yeah,
that was fun, man. Good little session right there. Look forward to hopefully, well, not even hopefully. You know what? We looking forward to this preview. That's what we looking forward to, man. Bounce back game and bounce back podcast. Absolutely, man. Big time action, man. The rest of this week. So yeah, appreciate everybody for tuning in, man. Enjoy this episode right here, man. Shout out to all the subscribers, and shout out to Coochie Man. Never bet a guy named Coochie Man. Wise words by Deke. So until next time,
peace.